Hi friends, this is my 2018 Faith Planner. I love doing flip throughs at the end of the year, and I want to do the flip through to show you kind of how I use the monthly and how I used the weeks for my scripture writing, just to go through kind of the progress that I went through for the year till I really got my system in place, and just show you all the pretty things. So stay with me. Okay, so this is the Grace Upon Grace. I believe that's what it's called, Faith Planner. I believe I got this through Hobby Lobby. It's been over a year, so I can't really remember. This was my most favorite planner ever. I loved all the rose gold details. I loved the colors. I love that brush watercolor texture. That's something that I'm quite obsessed with. I think this will always be just my most favorite planner ever. So I ended up, as the year went on, adding expander discs because it got really thick. I have, in addition to the planner, the literature that I use for studying throughout the year, just a bit of it that just matches the year. So I needed more space in the disc, and I've added a couple other things. So this is the Bible reading schedule that I made. I'm going through the Bible chronologically, and I'm just doing a couple of chapters a week. It's enough that doesn't overwhelm me, that I can keep up. If I get behind, it's not so much to keep up. I made it really pretty. There is a link in my link tree, or my campsite, that has this in here, and I'm going to add one for 2019, but I'm getting through it. I had a bunch of sticky notes. I really didn't use this pocket much, but I had sticky notes, and I used these a ton. I love sticky notes. I used this pocket that had it's for happy planners, like pictures and journal cards. So I used this because I love the Bible stickers. I ended up hoarding them, so I'm going to try to use them more next year. And then I just had some things that I like to pull, things that match, that I plan to use. I did put my name on this one. Amber Dominique couldn't fit, so Amber Dom seems to be the short. That happens a lot. And I used rose gold stickers. I really don't use this for anything. I always think they make them pretty. I really don't reference them. Maybe I should do something with it. I used the dashboard, or the currently page that came with every month, almost as it was intended. So I always use the prayer request to pretty much write down what I wanted to pray about that was new. Not something that I always pray about, but something new to add. I try to keep up with the grateful section. The remember kind of is generally a highlight. And then I put my ministry service report. This is a good place that when I have to remember what I did or turn in what I did, I can flip back to that. Absolutely love these dashboards. I love the colors, every way it was decorated. And what I tried to do is, I don't like to fight the color scheme, so I tried to make what I'm doing match what they already started with, and it just worked out that almost everything was my favorite. This came from the Choose Happy color book, and it almost is an exact match to the colors that were here. So I used the month for a couple of things. I have spiritual goals, and sometimes they're personal, sometimes they're for the family. We try to do family worship every week, so I try to track when that got done. And then my Bible reading, even though it's on that schedule, I kind of tried to keep it here, because what I was doing was writing. I knew it's something that we go over at our weeknight meeting, and ours is Wednesday. So I knew I had to get the reading done so that I can be prepared for that day. And so I would write down what I was doing. Also, sometimes I would reread and journal it and things like that. I also put like the ministry I do, the meetings we go to, all of my spiritual life is planned out in here. And then I started trying to figure out how I was going to incorporate my spiritual schedule and scripture writing. So I tried putting the scripture just on this side, and then putting what was going on in my life as far as faith related, I tried habit trackers. It didn't really work. This is when I got some functional stickers, and that kind of helped. I tried this kind of a not really tracking what I did, but kind of how well I did. So I made like a scale. That was really fun. I might try doing those again. I forgot I had did that. But it was a mishmash of what I was reading, what I was doing, what I needed to get done. Really a lot of planning was happening, but it didn't allow me much space for the scripture writing. Like here, I just wrote the scripture here, but not any thoughts on it or things like that. Got a little more into it here. So I'm really starting to figure out that I like the accountability of writing it. That if I do so, it made me want to keep up with it because I wanted to have the pages complete. I didn't always fill it out as much, but I tried to keep up with the dashboards. So here I was doing a little more scripture writing. Like I wrote the scriptures bigger and then the thoughts that went with it, but still I'm still tracking like what I'm doing. And it doesn't bother me that I have these blank spaces now, although it did. I tried to go back and fill them as much as I could. I didn't like the blank spaces, but life happens. February was a busy month for us. I never filled this out. March was an extremely busy month. There's a lot going on in March, but I definitely love the decorating here. Didn't keep up with the scripture writing. I really didn't have a routine of when to get it done, and I think that's part of my problem, why it didn't work, but I definitely set up for it. And then in April, it was less of planning out Bible reading, more of just kind of what was going on, what was happening. I didn't do much in April, but that's okay because I didn't do any in April. I was still trying to work out my system and work out what I'm trying to do because it was the first time I was doing this. May was, I really didn't, I remember I did this like at pretty much like the last week of May is when I caught up and did this because I had a lot going on. In May I was still trying to figure out what I'm trying to do. This, I remember we did that squad goals challenge. We had to use your squad goal stickers. And so I did still a little more of the scripture writing, but still I was tracking what was happening. I ended up writing the wrong things here, so I whited it out and never filled it back in. Started using the dashboard again. So I feel like the second half of the year, I really got on track better with my planners and things. I really had just gotten into some planner funk between April and May. Things just weren't working exactly well. You'll see it in my everyday planner, like when I fell out of using my everyday planner. So I started to get back on track in June and figured out that I really wanted to just focus on the scripture writing. Started to happen. There's still a little bit, but this one has like a little bit of the planning of what I needed to do, but mostly scripture writing. I absolutely love this week. And then this is just scripture writing, and I loved it. I love that, like I don't try to put a lot of decoration, I keep it to the top and the bottom. So I loved that it had that focus. And I didn't do so good here, but I'm figuring out what's working for me. Really filled out this one pretty well. And June happened. This is when I feel like was in my groove. So this is when I'm like, okay, I know what I like, how I like my book to look now. So I tried doing some fancy lettering, but I have the scripture and the thought. And this I did a challenge for myself to kind of just use one sticker book instead of spending so much time on decorating. And I used the colored pens to kind of dress it up. This was also that one sticker book, except I added this girl later. But I loved the kind of the benefit I got from focusing on filling this out. And this is really like I'm getting into this groove. Loved this week so much. And then didn't realize I didn't fill this one out. I should go back and like look at the calendars and fill this out. So I didn't fill this out, but August was also a hectic month for us. I was doing the scripture writing here, and I remember I came back and filled this one out because it didn't happen as it was going because August was so busy. I came back and did this. I had decorated it but not filled it out, and I didn't do here, but that's okay. This doesn't stress me like it used to. I feel like the point is I figured out a system. I'm doing something that works. Even if it doesn't happen every single day, I'm getting a benefit just like this. It didn't happen. I could still read it. I just didn't always take the time to write it, but I don't feel like there's a sin in that. It's still working for me. Here, I only had time just to write the scripture. I didn't write any comment, but that's okay. August it was just very hectic. Summers always are, so I got a lot done there. There's September. I filled this one out pretty well. I didn't like this monthly. September's my favorite month of the year, so I had all these expectations of how great it was going to be, and I got frustrated. It wasn't working out. I tried to move the sticker, I ripped the paper, so I was just over it. And this is a special week. This is when I turned another year and we had our anniversary. So I had these little animals celebrating. I love this week in September. I love the colors. And this is probably my most favorite week in the whole planner with these Print Pray Slay girls. And this one, she was a creatively planned girl. And this week I remember I waited so long to use these florals because they were so special. And then when I used them, I'm like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. I could have used them all along. Here's October. So here's where, like, I started covering up the months. I don't know if I did it in September. Yeah, I did it in September. I started covering this up. I didn't like the 3 months there. I didn't need it for anything. I didn't use it. It just took up space. I don't think it was very attractive having those 3 months. I think now I'll always cover that up. It just didn't, I can see the benefit or the use of it. It just doesn't work for me. So in October, I set out I didn't write as much here. I set out for for Domestic Violence Awareness Month to do a domestic violence kit every week, and it didn't really happen. This one I did. This was from Ella Rowitz. I think I'm pronouncing it right. She's from South Africa. And I started off using the kits for these other weeks, but because I just couldn't lay it out right, I just got so frustrated, I ended up not doing it, and that I don't like, so I'm not going to do that again. I'd rather write than get the decorating perfect, but at least I got one done. See, I decorated here. I use these printables from Print Pray Slay, but I decorated those 3 months, so you don't have to see that. Surprised I didn't fill this out. Try to go back and do that, but here's the month. Definitely as the year went on, use less stuff on the monthly too. They became less busy. Here is the kind of beginning of fall theme things. Here I just got the scripture down. I got some of my thoughts, but I didn't get my thoughts after, but that's okay. The decorating's cute. Here I got back into having the thoughts. And I missed a couple of days. I love this. These are from Graceful Planner. I missed a couple of days, but I really still like this spread. And the thing is, I can always go back and fill this out. Like, I can always look back at the date on the daily textbook and write the scripture and write the thought if I wanted to fill it in. Ooh, these are from Cutie Star, the stars. And December, I didn't do that. There's December with the winter themes. I thought because it had the pink, I really tried to make this match. I wanted to incorporate the pink. So I like the pink and blue things. I thought that worked well for winter. This was a Print Pray Slay collection. The buffalo plaids. And, well, this was like a Burberry plaid, but the plaids and the girls. And there are videos on me decorating these, but I loved this. And so I feel like, you know, I can do funky things where I put the scripture on the side and then my notes, or put the scripture in a box. I can use the checklist. I can put the scripture at the top and then my notes. I really feel like now I'm comfortable. I know what I'm doing. I have a real system. I use some of these reefs to put the I think they're like frames, floral frames, to put the scripture in, just to make that separate from my notes. So I feel like now as I'm doing it, I don't spend so much time thinking, how am I going to put this? Because I know like what kind of works for me. I was on vacation, I think, this week, so didn't happen. That's the last week of, really the first week of January, so that'll be in my new planner. But that's the end of the planner portion. I just had these to stick some stickers in, and I was going to put things in but didn't, so I'll probably take those out and put them in next year. This is just an old divider I used. I had this idea of using these old weeklies to do like the last week before Jesus died, to track his life, and it didn't happen, but I can do that. I watch a monthly broadcast, and so I made these note sheets to take notes on that. I did not take notes every month of the year, which I'm going to try to do better for next year. And then these are the literature that I have, and that's it. That is my 2018 Faith Planner. Thanks for watching. If you'd like more tips and inspiration on how you can be a better me too, subscribe here on YouTube and follow me on Instagram at the links below.